Hey guys, I'm Jill Powell, and today we are doing this beautiful makeup. So Jessica is here and she has normal to oily skin, so I'm gonna give you some tips for how to work with oily skin. And she literally has a gorgeous face and gorgeous skin, so we didn't have to do too much, but I definitely will give you some amazing tips for oily skin and how to make your skin last and look beautiful. So if you wanna check out this look, stay tuned. All right, so tell me a little bit about your skin. I can see that you have a little dew going on. Are you naturally like normal to oily?
A little oily, yeah.
A little oily. See? Look at your client and see. And I was looking at her and I could see that she's not super dry. So instead of a moisturizer, I'm gonna be using a hydrating serum. This one is Algenist Pressed Serum. This will give her moisture but won't be too heavy on her skin. It feels like a balm when it goes on, but then it bursts into basically like a coconut water. Hydrates the skin and doesn't leave any like film, any slip on the skin. It just absorbs very, very quickly. So if you have oily clients, you might want to skip a moisturizer so that it's not too heavy and go in with just a moisturizing serum so that they have moisture, because a lot of people with oily skin, if they do not hydrate enough, their skin will produce excess oils and overcompensate for surface dryness. So you definitely want to hydrate the skin, but you want to make sure that you do not leave it too oily or greasy. Another thing you can do if your client is oily is use a blot film after you hydrate, just to make sure that there is no excess moisture on the skin, no excess oil. So this is the NYX blotting papers, and you can just go on and remove anything that is sitting on top of the skin. And this will help to prepare the makeup and make sure that it lasts, because you want the makeup to last throughout the day. So she definitely has a lot of excess moisture on the skin. So oil can break down makeup, and that's why you want to remove anything that you don't need. Sometimes it's great for that really dewy, beautiful, radiant look. But in this case, I want to make sure it lasts, even though you're going to take it right off. She's going to hot yoga later. Can't go to hot yoga with a full face of makeup, guys. If you do, please stop doing that, because that will clog all your pores. It's not good. All right, a little bit more. Do you use blot films ever?
I don't.
No? It's great. So these are awesome because if you get oily throughout the day, it doesn't disrupt your makeup at all. It just basically absorbs the excess oil on the top layer. And then instead of like packing on powder or doing something to touch up that's like applying a product, you're just removing the oil. All right, so now she is hydrated and then all the excess oil was removed. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of eye cream. This one is by Derma E, and it's a hyaluronic acid eye cream, so it's just going to create a lot of moisture as well as plump. She does not have any wrinkles. You're very lucky. Do you take good care of your skin?
I try to.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you use an eye cream every day?
I do.
I can tell. I can always tell people that use an eye cream every day. So just a little bit's all she needs, and this is just going to hydrate that area, plump. And if you have any fine lines or wrinkles, hyaluronic acid is amazing because it's a molecule that holds 1,000 times its weight in water. So imagine like a sponge, when it expands and it pulls water, it expands. So that molecule is really tiny. It pulls water from the air and it expands, which will pull the skin more taut and eliminate those fine lines. It's amazing. It's naturally found in your body too, so it's not like you're putting something foreign on top of your skin. Now we always want to hydrate the lips while we're doing our skincare. So if you guys watch my videos, you know I love my Bite Beauty lip mask. So we're gonna be using the Agave lip mask by Bite Beauty. Oh, that was just my brush. I was like, it looks like a hair, but it was not a hair. So this is nice because it's super hydrating. It settles in, it smells good. But this will hydrate her lips so that by the time we're ready to put lipstick on later, the lips will be nice and plump, nice and hydrated. You won't have any dead skin. Everything will just glide on. It'll be amazing. Okay, so we're gonna move into primer, and if you have an oily client, you may wanna use some type of oil controlling lotion or some sort of primer that's like super oil controlling. In Jessica's case, you're taking this makeup right off. This is just for demonstration purposes, so we don't need anything to make it last. So I'm just gonna make it look good right now. So if you're on a photo shoot, sometimes you don't need the makeup to last because you're changing looks so often or you're touching up consistently. So you wanna make sure it just looks good right then and there. So I have chosen a primer that I know is going to make her face look amazing right now. So I'm using the Tatcha Silk Canvas, I think. Yep, the Silk Canvas primer. And I love this because it is almost like a waxier consistency, if you will. It's super light. It's made from, honestly, I shouldn't say that because I don't know what it's made from. I need to research my ingredients a little bit more. I want to say it's like a rice derivative, but it's really, really nice because it evens out the texture of the skin. So you're going to get just like a really smooth canvas. It basically, they took the idea, because this is a Japanese brand, Japanese inspired brand. So they took the idea from geishas. They used to use this kind of like waxy balm that they would put all over before they did the white makeup to make their faces really smooth. So this is what Tatcha has created to kind of emulate that. So it fills in pores, it fills in fine lines. It just kind of creates this flawless finish so that when the makeup goes on, it just is seamless and looks very natural, but also looks perfected. So I like to use my fingers to apply this and just work it into the skin. It's very lightweight. It is not, like, how does it feel?
I don't feel anything.
It doesn't feel waxy. It doesn't feel heavy. It's honestly such a beautiful product, but it doesn't roll. So when you apply foundations on top, you're not going to get that weird rolling. It literally is just such an amazing primer. So Jessica has amazing skin. I mean, you really don't have unevenness. You don't really need a lot. So I've chosen a foundation that perfects the skin, but is not heavy. It doesn't have a crazy amount of coverage. It's the Lancome Skin Feels Good. And what I love about this, it's like a tinted moisturizer, except I will say it has a tiny bit more coverage, so you don't need a lot of it. You can wear it very, very sheer, and it just kind of melts into the skin. It literally looks like skin. And you know, me and complexion, and I like it to look like skin. So I'm gonna be using a fluffier foundation brush. This one is actually, honestly, this is one of the prototypes when I used to work with Sephora and we were testing brushes. So they do make this brush, I believe, still in their Pro, and it's the same shape and everything, but the handle will look a little bit different. So this was a test brush back in the day. This actually might be a little bit dark for you. So we'll grab a second color. But this will be great for your forehead and cheeks. Matches your forehead perfectly. So a lot of times we see the forehead has a little bit more color because the sun naturally hits from above, from the top. So your forehead, your cheeks, your nose might have a little bit more color than the rest of your face. So this is just going on so beautifully. It just looks like her skin. Right on top of that silk canvas, it's amazing. We'll get her forehead, cheeks, maybe a little bit on her chin here in the center. And then I'm gonna grab one lighter color because you know I like to work with multiple colors. All right, so I'm gonna mix a lighter color with that color because that one is just probably one shade darker. It's probably your summer color, and we are in winter, so. I'm gonna do that lighter color along her jawline and right under her eyes just to brighten. This creates dimension so that you have not just one color flat skin. You can also do the center of the forehead, just like right between the brows. This will create a little bit of brightness there, and then under the eyes. We are gonna do a little bit of concealer, but I'm going to do it out of order today. I wanted to bronze and then brighten at the very end with a little concealer. There's not always a certain order you have to do things. Obviously, as you're layering, you have to do the bottom layers before the top layers, so I can't do primer on top of when I'm done. I mean, I guess if you have a primer spray, but it doesn't totally make sense that way. But you can do things out of order as far as I'm gonna do my bronzer before I do my concealer, and that is okay. Or sometimes I wait until I do eyes and then I do concealer because I like to do my complexion first, and a lot of people do eyes first, but that way you get that really clean look after the eyeshadow's done. So don't always stick to the same patterns. Get out of your comfort zone and change it up a little bit. All right, so she has like a beautiful natural finish going on. Let's go in with some bronzer, create more dimension, a little glow, and then we'll add that concealer. Okay, so I am going to be trying a new product. This is the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer in Baked. The color is Baked. And basically it is a stick. So you could apply it directly on the skin, or you can use a brush. I am going to use a brush. I think I'm gonna use this guy. This one is the Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter Brush. I am wearing a lip gloss today and my hair keeps sticking to it. So if you see me go like this, it's because I feel those hairs. Thank goodness it's not windy in here. Okay, so this is the Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter F03 brush. And basically it's a synthetic brush. So anytime I'm working with creams, I do prefer a synthetic 85–90% of the time. Sometimes that natural bristle is perfect for whatever you're doing, but I do want the slip of the synthetic brush on this one. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of product. Actually, I might apply it on the back of my hand and then pick it up. So it's just like a really nice neutral color. And I'm going to use this just to kind of create a little bit of shape on her face. Ooh, I like it. Okay, this color is so natural. I mean, look at that. It's just like it's creating this beautiful natural contour. She's got great cheekbones, so she doesn't need it like insane. Oh my goodness, I really like this. I see you, Milk Makeup. Thank you. They sent this to me, so I appreciate when I get to try new products. So thank you, Milk, for sending me this. This is going right in my kit. All right, so, oh, I really like that. It's honestly such a perfect color, and she's like a medium skin tone. So this is a very light bronzer for her skin tone, but it just creates this really natural shape. Oh my gosh, I love it. And it's matte, so it's a cream, but it's matte. So that's why it's okay to use this cream on an oilier skin type, because it's a matte finish, so it's not gonna be too dewy or too wet. It's really, really nice. Because I love this color, I am going in and applying a little bit on the sides of her nose just for dimension. I'm not a huge nose contour kind of girl. Sometimes it's right, but for an everyday, I kind of just like to bronze the nose a little bit to create some dimension so that your nose doesn't look too flat. You have like a perfect nose, so you don't want to change the shape. If they've got a good shape going on, just leave it. We'll do a little bit along the chin. That's really subtle and pretty. I'm gonna go in with a powder on top of it just to layer and add a little bit. So I really like how this has created the base of dimension. Really, really pretty. Okay, so another new product I'm going to try for the first time is the Becca, Chloe, and Malika palette. So Becca makes amazing highlighters, and some of her palettes, well, this is Chloe's palette, Chloe and Malika's palette. So some of Becca's products will have shimmer, and then they'll have those shimmery blushes, and then their bronzers. And a lot of the bronzers have like this beautiful, like this one is just like a subtle sheen, so it's kind of a matte bronzer, but it does look like skin. So, well, I'm assuming because I can tell by the texture here. I honestly haven't even touched this. This is a virgin palette. So we are going to apply a little bit of this bronzer, and like I said, I haven't used this before, so we're gonna see how it works. I am going to be using a synthetic angled brush. I believe this one was another prototype brush that I was testing at one point. So I will try to find a link to something similar below when I link my products. But something that with an angle, if you guys watch my videos, you know I love an angle brush for cheeks. Oh yeah, this layered right on top. So this bronzer is going to help set that, the milk stick, and then just create a little bit of added dimension. That is so pretty. So the reason why I like the angled brush is because the shorter end will apply the product and then you get the longer end to blend it. So you get just like a really soft, blended, diffused look when you're doing your contour. And I like to start, typically a lot of times it's center of the ear down to the corner of the mouth. Her cheekbones are a little bit higher, so it's almost like the top of the center of the ear because I can see her cheekbone, and I'm gonna go right down, and it pretty much to the corner of the mouth. I'm not going all the way down here because she doesn't need it. She's got amazing cheekbones already. So we're just accentuating them. I'm gonna add a little bit along her jawline, just really subtle, and then again, give her a little bronzing down here. We'll take this all off, I promise. And she's got a perfect sized forehead for her face shape. So, I mean, it's lifted in the center, it comes down, she's got that perfect forehead. So I'm really not going to contour her forehead at all because I don't want to change the shape. I don't want to change the dimensions of it. But I do want to bring in a little bit of that bronzer. So just really subtly, I'm just going to add some on her forehead, maybe a little bit on her chin. I like it. Okay, so now I'm going to be concealing under eyes, and I want to use the Elsie concealer. I'm going to use 2 colors, medium tan and tan. Tan probably matches her skin a little bit better, and medium tan is going to brighten. So I have put the 2 colors on my hands, and I will mix and match and create so that I create exactly what I want to do. I'm going to be using a flat concealer brush. This one's by Bdellium Tools, number 936. I buy these brushes at like Nigel's or Namie's or any of the makeup artist stores that we shop at in LA, but I'm sure that they are available at other places and online, so if you don't live in LA. And I'm going to start in the inner corners and go right under that lash line. And I'm just sweeping down and outwards just to really brighten up. Don't forget that inner corner. And I'm going to take my finger and press, 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 and then just look up for me. Soften that line. Sorry, my hands are so cold. Deep puffing. Not that you have any puffiness, but it's cold today. All right, and that just really brightens up and takes away any darkness she has. I pretty much actually used mostly medium tan, and I mixed just a tiny bit of tan in with it, just so that it wasn't too light for her skin, but also light enough to brighten. So I'm using really soft, kind of like pressing and sweeping motions. It's just getting that product on there, but not packing it on too much. Just getting that pigment on there, and then using my finger, it just melts the product into the skin, takes away any excess moisture. There we go. Under eyes are done. You can also sweep it down a little bit if you want to brighten, but she's got pretty even skin tone, so you don't really need to do a lot of correction. Sometimes you can take your concealer and go down the center of the bridge of the nose just to brighten, sometimes right in the center of the chin as well. And this just pulls all those colors together. Okay, and since Jessica's a little bit more on the oily side, I am going to use a powder to set, and then I'm going to go in with some highlighting and blush products. A lot of times I'll do the highlighting and blush on top of the foundation so that it stays longer throughout the day. But again, she's taking this right off, so I'm actually going to matte out the skin, make it really, really nice and clean and pretty with some translucent powder. And then I'm going to go back in with some blush and highlighter. When you put blush on top of a wet foundation or a foundation that you just applied without any powder on top of it, it really sticks and then it stays throughout the day. It gets like a stronger application, and then you can put powder on top of it to diffuse and you kind of get that blush from within look. Or you can apply the powder and then you may have to apply a little bit more blush because sometimes powder doesn't stick as well to powder. She does have an oilier skin, so I want to make sure that it's really clean and goes on smoothly. So I am going to set with a translucent powder before I do that blush and highlighter. And those are my reasons. So I have chosen the LC translucent powder, and this one is in Tan Dark. I know you don't think you're tan, but you are tan, girl. And yeah, LC translucent powder. Want to make sure I got that right. I really love LC products. The creator is a makeup artist, so she really understands makeup and how to make it amazing. So I really, really love her products. And this Tan Dark is just kind of like a medium tone. It won't darken too much. I'm going to use a Violet Voss kind of fluffier brush, and we're just going to go in and When I apply translucent powder, I like to use a fluffier brush and I kind of press and roll a little bit. I don't love a ton of powder unless it's needed, so I like to just kind of go really, really light. I'm gonna grab the lighter one for the rest of her face because in person it doesn't look super dark, but on camera I can see that that definitely darkened your forehead. So we're gonna go with the lighter one for the rest of the face. Okay, so this one was a little bit dark. I think it still works, but I am going to use the light medium, which is a lot lighter, for the rest of the face, just because I like the color that we did on her face and I don't want to darken it. So I'm going in with the light medium translucent powder, and I'm going to go through the center of her forehead just to see it lightened it up a little bit. Perfect. And I'm setting everything. This translucent powder is really nice. It does soften everything and really smooth. So I don't use a ton of powder, but I do like this one. So we're going to set everything that we have just done, and then I'll go back in and add some blush and highlighter. I'm going to go over your brows too. Since you're oily, it's good to put a little bit of translucent powder around the brow, because if you're oily, that way the brow doesn't move when you do your pencil or powder. Okay, so now that I've set everything, I am going to just add a tiny bit of bronzer back in on top. She still has a little bit left, but it did lighten it a little bit, so I'm just going to add it again. Remember, those sheer layers are what help to make it look really natural and make it stay, so that is totally fine to do. And I'm going to be using the Sigma Large Angled Contour F40, and in this same palette, we're going to use some blush. And I like to find the cheekbone and really accentuate that. And this blush has some shimmer to it. So it's kind of like a highlighting blush. It's got color, but it's also going to have some glow. I don't always blush the nose, but sometimes it's nice just to bring those colors together. So she is already glowing, but who doesn't love glow? So we may as well use the Morphe 501. It's like a gigantic blending brush. And I'm just gonna go on the tops of her cheekbones, add a little more highlight. I know this is a huge trend, so everyone loves the glow. A tiny bit through the bridge of her nose, a little bit on her Cupid's bow. Okay, so we have most of the skin done. She does need some brows, so I'm going to be using the Laura Mercier brow brush. It's just like a nice firm angle brush, and some Anastasia Brow Duo powder. And then just looking at her hair, she's got some like beautiful kind of caramely highlights. So I always look at their hair color to determine the brow color. And she has a decent amount of brow hair, so I don't need to put too dark of a color because it will look really strong. So I am probably going to do soft brown, and I'm going to choose the lighter shade in the Duo. And I'm just going to kind of take my brush and flick upwards right at the bottom. And when you flick upwards, you kind of brush the hairs and get that powder like right in between them. And it just creates a really natural finish. I like to do that at the beginning of the brow because that way you don't get too strong of like a squared off brow. And this color just has a slight bit of warmth to it, which will kind of tie in her hair color so it doesn't look too harsh. Sometimes if you do too cool of a color, it can be harsh looking when you have some warmth in your hair. And just a really light touch. She doesn't need a lot of correcting, so I'm just going in and shaping and perfecting. So this side, the hairs lay a little bit differently, so I'm just going to kind of color in a little bit more in the beginning to mimic. Okay, and just like that, we're done. She has a beautiful face to work on. So just to recap, we started out with the Alginous Pressed Serum. And remember, she was a little bit more on the oily side, so I didn't want to overhydrate her skin, but you definitely need to hydrate oily skin so that they do not produce those oils throughout the day. So I used that Alginous Pressed Serum, and then I used a blot paper to take off any of the excess moisture on her skin, excess oil, excess moisture. So I used the NYX blot papers. And then I went ahead and used the Derma E Hydrating Eye Cream, which has hyaluronic acid just to really smooth and plump. She didn't really have a lot of dark circles, puffiness, anything. So just a basic eye cream is great. And we hydrated her lips with the Bite Beauty Lip Mask because you always want to have beautiful, soft, kissable lips. And then we went ahead and primed with the Tatcha the Silk Canvas Primer just to really smooth everything. And we went in with the Lancome Skin Feels Good kind of tinted moisturizer foundation just to really even out but stay really light. She didn't have a lot of discoloration. She didn't have anything that needed major coverage. So just something really light to make her skin look beautiful and make it feel good. So we used that. And then I used the Milk Makeup bronzing stick just to contour a little bit. I used an angled synthetic brush. And then we went ahead and set with the Elsie translucent powder. I did use 2 different colors. The tan dark was a little bit too dark for her forehead, so I lightened it up with the light medium all over. Went back in with the Becca bronzer from the Chloe and Malika palette and contoured a little bit with the bronzer. I actually did that on top of the milk and on top of the translucent, so kind of 2 steps of bronzer. We used that same palette for the blush and the highlighter. So remember, the blush was right on the cheekbones and the highlighter right above the cheekbones. Then I perfected her brows with the Anastasia Brow Duo. And I did forget, we threw in some concealer after I did the bronzer and the contouring, and I used the Elsie concealer. I mixed medium, dark, and tan to just kind of conceal under the eyes and just bring a little brightness. A little bit down the center of the nose. You can do it around the nose if you have redness. On the chin, just to brighten up a little bit. But then once we did the brows, we were done. So this is the final look, and I hope you like it. It's something you can use every single day. If you've got great skin, if you've got oily skin, hopefully you learned a few tips from this video. Thanks again for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below what you want to see next. All of the products used in my video are also linked below. And if you want to see more, follow me anywhere at Jill Powell Glam. Thanks again.